Hi everyone, this is Rohit from Lifestyle Mastery. Today I'm excited to have Fran Villalba Segarra, who's a young entrepreneur, who's the founder of Internxt. Internxt is working on disrupting thrilling industries through the use of revolution in technology. The first service, Xcloud, is a decentralized cloud storage service that strives to become more secure and more private version of Dropbox, iCloud, and Google Drive. Fran earned his bachelor's degree in international business administration at Rotterdam School of Management. Welcome to the show, Fran.
Hi, thank you. Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. So, before we talk about Internxt, I wanted to understand how did you get your start in the world of startups?
Well, I've always kind of been interested in, doing my own stuff. Back in the days when I was like 13 years old, I started learning coding, and ever since then, I started some small web hosting projects. Like I think many people have started web hosting projects in the industry. I started working at a company called Hostinger, which is a cloud company. And after learning about what the cloud industry was and getting some experience in coding technology and earning my bachelor's degree, I started Internxt. There were many issues that I saw during all those years in the internet industry and in the cloud industry that we wanted to to basically fix, to get solved and to tackle here at Internxt, and that's basically what we're doing.
Got it. And you've talked about disrupting the industry, especially when it comes to cloud storage service. But how do you plan to make data storage more centralized, more secure, and more affordable?
Right. So our first service, as you mentioned, is a cloud storage service. The name, while we were actually developing it, was Xcloud, but now it's actually called Internxt Drive. Much more simple. So essentially, the main difference between Internxt Drive and all these other services like Google Drive, Dropbox, and all the ones you mentioned, is that we client-side encrypt data so that we don't store your decryption key. So Google encrypts your data, but they can decrypt it. You have the key. And on top of that, what we make sure is that when you upload your data on the client, the data gets fragmented, and servers, what they host is encrypted data fragments. So in practical words, what that means is that if a hacker was to hack one of our servers or whatever, they would just find encrypted data fragments, which are basically useless. And we don't host the decryption key, so even if they hacked us, they can't get access to the files. And that's basically how we are ensuring that, unlike with other providers where they can sell your data, they can see your data, or they can get hacked, like it happened with iCloud, with all these pictures from celebrities that got leaked on the internet, or with Google, that they're constantly, reading analyzing your emails, what you write on Google Docs. With Internxt, we make sure that your data remains yours, and that's basically how we're doing it.
Right, and in spite of great number of subscribers when it comes to companies like Dropbox and iCloud and Google Drive, why do you think they've not been able to solve the problem of making the whole process more secure and affordable?
Right. So essentially, when it comes to our big competitors, we're seeing that they're usually data giants, they're big tech corporations, Google, Facebook, Microsoft, all these companies. They're public companies, and they're also very rigid in what they can and can't do. So we can move much faster to kind of tackle these trends. Whereas for these companies, very often they're just data giants. They rely a lot on data for their business model, like Amazon. They rely a lot on data to be able to know what to sell to you. Google for their Google Ads business, which is basically the main source of income. They rely a lot on that data, and essentially starting to encrypt data and truly caring about privacy conflicts a lot with their business model, because then they would basically just lose all the money they're generating, and that'd be a huge issue. So that's basically one of the main reasons why these huge companies don't truly embrace data privacy. And honestly, when you build a service like this, you want to make sure that it's built around privacy from the ground up. So if now Facebook, so for example, Facebook with WhatsApp, they say that they're encrypting messages or whatever, nobody truly believes Facebook, or people, even if they were to do it at some point, like actually embracing privacy for real, they have that legacy of not respecting the user, and honestly, their services are not truly built around privacy either way. So we've built our service around privacy from the ground up.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think Facebook has got a bad reputation when it comes to privacy. I wanted to understand what are your pricing structure, and how do you charge your product lower than other cloud computing companies?
So how do we charge it in terms of pricing, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. So as for pricing, it's very similar to what people are used to seeing. So we've not reinvented the wheel where we saw it wouldn't make sense. So in terms of UX, pricing, and all these stuff, features, we've made sure that they were very industry standard, with the added, privacy feature that we are, bringing to the table. So when it comes to pricing, we've got a free plan. So it's a freemium subscription business model. So we've got a free plan that goes up to for up to 10 gigabytes. And then we've got subscription plans that go up to 2 terabytes of storage per user. And then in terms of pricing, they go from €1 to €10 per month per user. And yeah, that's basically our pricing. It's very industry standard, as well as our features and everything. We wanted to make sure that users were very comfortable with using our service. And, we just literally focused a lot on making what truly differentiates us, which is a privacy feature, making that truly unique and stand out.
Got it. And when it comes to selling a product, a SaaS product like yours, what are some of the sales strategies that you use? Do you use a lot of paid acquisitions, or do you look at organic growth? What are your
Right.
thoughts?
So that's a really good question. So I think many SaaS companies or yeah, they probably have the same question. For us, where we're seeing obviously the biggest ROI or the most positive ROI is for obviously organic and performance marketing or affiliate marketing. So we're using a tool called Impact Radius. I don't know if you're familiar with it. So it's basically an affiliate marketing tool. There's many of them like Awin. There's a lot of them. And the good thing about these tools is that you pay a commission based on the sales they bring you. So it's always ROI positive per nature. So we're growing a lot with that. We're able to get into a lot of really cool websites. So basically all these rankings that you see on Google, where you get best cloud storage and stuff like that, we're able to get on those ranked higher because of these tools that allow us to pay a commission to these partners, and basically it's a win-win for both. And that's where we're seeing the biggest ROI. But also, we're doing a lot of ads. We're using Brave ads, Brave browser. They're a privacy-focused browser. We're doing a lot of ads there. We're seeing, a good return as well. But yeah, in terms of paid acquisition, we're spending a lot of resources with our product manager, our engineers, our PPC managers to actually see what campaigns actually work in terms of ROI, because we do know that if we want to scale, what works best at scale is ads, so PPC stuff. Because the bad thing about performance marketing or organic is that that's very healthy and stuff, but it's not that fast to grow with that. So when it comes to fast growth, which is what we're all about, this past year we grew over 1,000% year over year in 2021. So that's around a 24% month over month. This year we also want to grow fast, but when it comes to escalating that growth at these sizes, we will probably have to rely a lot on paid acquisition. So we spending a lot of resources on ad optimization and actually seeing what works.
Interesting. And I wanted to understand what you had a fantastic growth. You're growing 24% month over month, but what were the sort of revenues you saw in the last year or so?
So how did we grow so much this past year? Or
can you talk more about what were your top line and bottom line margins when it came to growth in 2020? If you're comfortable sharing those
2021.
numbers.
So basically, we launched our product in 2021. So we've been a few years building our product. A year ago, we launched the first stable version of the product, which is Internxt Drive. And basically, at the very beginning, so we had this community of people who cared about privacy, and we rely a lot on organic and early adopters. So at the very beginning, you can rely on early adopters and organic, because growing so early is relatively, or it's. I'm not going to say it's easy, because it's also really, really hard, because you have to build a product that has a product market fit, and that's really hard. And getting that initial traction is actually really hard, but you can gain it with organic. the thing is that so for example, right now in January 2022, so we are at 100,000 euros in monthly revenues. So we want to hit 200K MRR by December this year. So that's a big number, right? So for that, we're pretty scared. So we want to make sure we achieve it. We have the funnels, we have the tools, we have the data, but we want to make sure we hit that number. So for that, we will very likely this year need a round. We already did an investment round a year ago to kind of build the product and stuff. We didn't really spend much of that on acquisition, but this round that we're raising this year, we want to spend on, or we want to invest on growth. So yeah.
Interesting. And can you talk more about your clients? Do you focus on the startups, SMBs, or the large enterprises? How do you?
So in terms of market segment, so we're very much like Dropbox or Google Drive. So we're very B2C, so B2C and B2B SMEs. So we're not going into the enterprise market segment, I would say. So we're basically, just going into SME, so into volume. So at Hostinger, which is this web hosting company I worked at for 4 years, we also worked volume very much. So we worked into getting freelancers or small businesses, create websites and stuff. So at Internxt, we want to do the same for cloud storage. So targeting the same market segment. So, and in terms of who is actually using our product, so it's mainly a male audience in the United States and Europe. We do also have a big presence in India. And basically, in terms of who is actually using it. So at the very beginning, we had a lot of early adopters who cared about, decentralization of the data decentralization, privacy, like super niche users, and that's good because they helped us to grow our early product. But now that we're getting more into the mass market, we're seeing an increasing number of, just normal people who, for example, prefer Apple to Google. So when you choose Apple, you usually, potentially care more about privacy, because Apple is also kind of embracing that a bit better than Facebook, Google, and so forth. So we're getting a lot of those normal users, so to speak, that, just care about, the pictures they upload on the cloud or files or whatever, that they don't get compromised or shared with anyone else.
Got it. And you also talk about investments that you're looking to get more investments for your startup. What's been some of the biggest lessons when it came to raising funds? Sometimes raising money can be a full-time job, and as a CEO, you need to look at running the operations of the company as well as raising funds. Do you think it helps to have a co-founder, or do you think it's a single founder can also run operations and get investments?
Right. No, yeah. So you're totally right. So raising a round is indeed a potentially full-time job, especially the first round we raised. So I have 80% stake at Internxt. So 20% I sold when we did the first round. We got a few VCs join our company. Probably the most known one is the Venture City. They're a Miami-based VC. But we also have Sada University, which is a university from here in Spain, and Angels Capital, which is another VC. So that first round, I think, is probably the hardest, I would say. Obviously, I don't have that much experience, but for me, what I'm seeing is now that we're raising the second round, the Series A, now that we've got this traction, we've got the resources to, we've got a CFO, we've got a really senior team. So for example, our CMO, she worked at marketing at ProtonMail, which is one of our competitors. A performance marketing manager, affiliate manager. She was the affiliate manager at ProtonMail as well. We recently hired a PPC manager of NordVPN, which is another company from the industry. So now that we have a much better company, I think it's easier for us to raise funds and actually choose from investors. So I think I don't know. I think potentially the hardest part for us is already over. We've gained that initial traction without a lot of resources. We raised the first round. So the rest, as long as you don't die, I wouldn't say die, but because now it's also harder to die. But there's a threat to fast-growing companies where if you don't keep growing fast, you kind of die out. Like nobody cares about you. So we just have to make sure that we keep, gaining traction. But But as long as we do that, we're fine.
Correct. And when you're growing a company, I think CEO is always looking at either capital allocation or talent allocation. And it's interesting to know that you've hired some really high quality people. And I want to talk more about talent acquisition. How do you think about hiring the very best people? For example, your CMO and CFO. What did you look into their profiles when you looked at hiring these professions?
Right. So one thing that we learned is that, also it depends on the stage that you're at, but at the very beginning, when you have a company, so for example, for us, we had a lot of junior people, so like 20 in the 20s or something, and that's fine because obviously, good people or people with more experience, they don't want to join your company because it's just like some project, right? But this year we're actually getting more senior people join our company. And basically, what we're looking into, when we're hiring, what we're looking into get is, people that have grown a similar company into the level that we want to hit. So if we want to hit Series B level, next year or so, we want to make sure that we have people from ProtonMail, that they have 50 million active users, or NordVPN, they're also huge, and people that scale those companies. We want to have at Internxt, and that's basically what we're focusing on.
Interesting. And what interview question do you think are crucial to ask when you're hiring high quality people?
What precaution?
What interview questions do you think are crucial? Do you think because you just get, say, an hour's time of a person to get to understand about the depth and knowledge of their experience. But are there any questions which you would advise entrepreneurs to ask so that you understand about the potential of the candidate?
I mean, that's a really complex question, but what I do want to make sure when I ask questions to employees is to actually see. I mean, I think it's very important that employees that you hire, they're very they're very much like you or in the same tune. So you want to make sure that they fit your culture. So essentially, when we talk to them, I mean, I wouldn't say it's so much about one specific question, like one magic question. I would say it's more about how the interview goes and seeing if that person matches your culture and you're fine and you're actually comfortable working with that person, and if that person truly cares about your company. Because often you get employees who just care about money, who maybe they don't fit your culture, and then you're not so comfortable working with them. And especially for strategic positions, which are basically like 90% of what you're hiring in the first years, they're all very strategic positions because they're building the company with you. You want to make sure that they are very well aligned with you, and that we are trying to make sure. So we've made mistakes where we got people who weren't aligned with us. And as I said, this past year, 2021, we made a lot of cleanup in our team. So we fired a lot of junior people and people who wouldn't match our culture. And this year, we've got a super strong team. I would say, a team that's ready to scale, and a company that's actually ready to grow.
Very interesting. And are there any leading indicators that you can understand about an individual who has the ability to scale with the company?
Any ability indicators that show you if someone is ready to escalate with the company?
Yeah.
I mean, I would say you need to make sure. Obviously, you always need to make sure that that person is knowledgeable and that's smart. But you also need to make sure, I think, to some extent. I mean, obviously, that they're also hardworking, because especially at the beginning, there's a lot of work to be done, many hours. But you also want to make sure that they're ambitious, because you're building a fast-growing company, and if you don't have ambitious people who truly care about building perfect products, if they don't care about the company, if they don't care about the customer, that's going to be shown in the product, and you don't want that. So you want to make sure that people meet that criteria, and that's hard to get because obviously people. I mean, when you're a founder, you have all those traits, or it's more likely that you have those traits. Especially if the company goes well, it's very likely that you're smart, that you're good with people, good with managing people, that you care about the company, that you dedicate a lot of hours. But finding people that match that criteria is hard. But obviously, we've spent a lot of time in that.
Correct. And I've been into startups, and there have been situations where I've taken a bit of a salary cut. But do you think candidates should take pay cuts to join startups?
So should candidates should candidates have done their own startups before, or should candidates be allowed to do their own startups while they are
No, should they do they have to take a pay cut to join a startup? Because a lot of startups don't work out, and you're looking for an equity. But what if they're coming from a big company, but they want to join a startup with a great title? But would you advise people to take pay cuts to join startups?
pay cuts as in getting paid less money, basically, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it really depends. I would say it really depends on your personality. So for me, I really like this kind of stuff, but you have to be, obviously it's totally different. I worked at a big company. I worked at a small company, a fast growing company. I mean, it's a totally different dynamic. Obviously, it really depends on when you're working on where you're working. But if the project is exciting and you're, this sort of person that likes to work a lot of hours, if you're very ambitious, because usually when you work at a big company, what we see, and that's a lot of the people that we hire, people who work at big companies that are ambitious, that they're not growing fast, because when you're a big company, you're just one more person doing very small stuff. Here at Internxt, or basically at any other fast growing company, you're having a lot of incentives to grow, you're having a lot of impact. It also requires more work, right? And more implication, but it really depends on what you want to do with your life and where you're at. Usually, as you get older, you don't really have that, you're more risk averse. So you probably, you've got your family and you just want to make sure that, you've got a job where you're fine and stuff. So you don't want to take the risk of going into a startup. But usually people we hire are people who are a few years at a big company like NordVPN, Protomed, are huge companies. They've got almost like 1,000 employees. And we hire people who are there for a few years, and we see that after talking to them, they want more out of their career, and they're relatively young, in their 30s or so, and we usually even pay them more money. I mean, if you're growing, you should sometimes. I mean, something we did was paying little money to our employees by hiring junior people, but sometimes it really does pay off to get more senior people, pay them more money, because they're building a company, and it really pays off.
Got it. And one of the products was Exco, which lets people take their leftover hard drive space and rent it out to users that need cloud storage space, and it's secure and encrypted. How does that happen? How can I take my hard drive and give it to you and make money out of it?
So that product, we've also evolved it a lot. So we've made that product much better in the sense that so while we were building the product, we allowed anyone to join that program. So right now, that was Exco. Then it was rebranded also to Internxt Core. I mean, it's just like we thought keeping the Internxt brand under all our products, that was better in terms of growth, and brand awareness. But essentially, what we've done with this program is that we are only allowing professional node operators to join our network. So that means that we're not allowing just anyone to install this program in their computer as we used to do. Why? Is because data is very cheap. So usually if you're storing your data on your computer, you're just going to earn a couple dollars per month. So it's not that interesting. So people get frustrated. Also, your internet connection is not that good. Your computer goes on and off. We have to keep many replicas of the files. It was just like a mess. Super expensive, super slow. A lot of issues because there's so many different people. So basically, what we did is just keeping that program, but making sure that node operators or storage providers basically pass a filter. So we're making sure that they keep a standard where they're actually professional storage providers. They have either data centers or big storage capacity, and can guarantee certain levels of uptime and speed, and they've got certain levels of security, firewalls, and so forth, to make sure that it's actually more efficient for us.
Got it. And where do you see the future of cloud computing?
I mean, that's a very complex question. There's a lot of stuff being built around the cloud and the internet in general. I mean, I mean, there's a lot of stuff being built. Right now there's a lot of very powerful cloud computing companies with a lot of, with huge computing resources. There's now this trend also Web3, where cloud companies or internet companies, they're trying to build what essentially we're trying to build here at Internxt as well, which is the next internet, the next web, where it's an internet built around the user. Because right now these companies, Google, Facebook, all these companies, they built an internet around themselves and where the user is a product. So Web3 or this new cloud paradigm is basically building an internet that's built around the user and that truly cares about the user, open source, transparent, private, and secure by design. And that's a huge trend, and that's what we're building at Internxt. And I think that's going to carry on, and that's going to grow bigger.
Interesting. And where do you see the next 5 years for Internxt?
So apart from Drive, from the cloud storage service, we're releasing Internxt Photos, which is a Google Photos alternative. So essentially what we want to build is a G Suite alternative. So with all these ecosystem products, basically building a truly alternative to what people are using right now on the internet. So an alternative to Google Photos, alternative to Google Drive. We're also building Internxt Send, which is an encrypted file transfer service similar to WeTransfer or all these file transfer services. Internxt Mail we also want to build. So we want to make sure that we become a relevant tech company with a different mindset. So truly embracing privacy by design, truly caring about the user, not selling your data, and actually guaranteeing that we can't access your data. We are open source, so you don't have to trust us. You can just check the code. So we just want to keep growing. This year, as I said, we want to hit 200K in MRR by December this year, and then potentially by 2024, the goal is to generate over 10 million euros in revenues. So we want to keep growing fast within the next couple of years, and potentially within the next 5 years, just become a huge tech giant with a totally different mindset. So basically doing what these companies are doing right now in a way that's different and that makes more sense. That's how we want to tackle this.
Yeah, no, I totally love the ambition. I quickly want to do the top 3. What's your favorite business book?
So I recently read a book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I think everyone's read it. That's a really cool book. I think I would recommend that.
We'll put that in the show notes. And if you could go back in time when you started building Internxt, what is the one thing you would have focused on or done anything differently?
So one thing I would have done differently is when you're building a company, you want to make sure that people are fully dedicated to the company. So hiring remote people, like for example, back in the days we hired, so before these junior employees, we did another mistake, which was hiring people remote too early. So people from like Eastern Europe and all these countries where it's actually more affordable to hire. So you're building a company around people who don't care about the company. So, I mean, because, they probably have other projects and they're not with you building the company. So you want to make sure that you surround yourself with people who truly care about the company. So that's why, we build our company with our headquarters here. Right now, we also do remote. All these people I'm telling you from Proton Mail and stuff, they're all remote, but it's built around something that we created, that we all cared about. And now it's the time to do that. So, but hiring people remote too early, if they're not truly dedicated to the company and they're just like external, that doesn't work. And then also spending money on marketing too early, it's also not good. So you want to make sure you get traction with the product, you find product market fit, and we're very product-led growth oriented now. We did, do a lot of inefficient marketing expenditures back in the days when we were just building the product. That's not smart.
All right, and finally, what's your favorite online tool? For example, Gmail, Slack, Zoom.
We use a tool called Synovio for email extraction. So it's usually when you wanna contact a partner or someone, a VC or whatever. You don't want to send an email to their website contact email. You want to extract the emails of people who are actually building or behind the company, because it's more likely that you close that deal, or when you're selling your product. You don't want to send just a generic email or just some spam LinkedIn message. So this allows you to see the emails of the people behind the company, and that's very effective in terms of reaching them out. Synovio, that's a really cool tool.
Got it. I'm into sales and business development. I'm going to look into this and start using myself. We'll put that in the show notes. Fran, what is the best way people can reach out to you and know more about Internxt?
Yeah, so people can just, they can contact me if they look for me on LinkedIn, or if they use Novio on our website, they'll find my email as well. Our website is internxt.com. We're basically everywhere. We are on Twitter, LinkedIn, Telegram. We're everywhere. So yeah, that's how they can find out about us. Internxt.com.
Got it. We'll put that in the show notes. Fran, thank you so much for taking on time and speaking to us. I really enjoyed my conversation with you.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, thanks.